Now, for anybody who doesn't know me, I'm A.Channel, and we are here on behalf of the Iani Liran Syrian Council of the Inner Eka worlds. Inner Earth is an easy way to put that. Now, I will talk to you without a lot of, let's say, babying in this group, because we've got to the point with the information that it's become vital that people become familiar with the earlier workshops before they come to the master's level workshops, or we'll be here for 6 years just trying to get to the point where we could deliver the new material. So there's a lot of new material this time. In fact, it came like a wave, and we're still reeling from it. The information this time leaves me almost speechless, which is really hard to do because I'm a person that can actually talk for 8 hours for like a week straight. What we're going to do through the course of the weekend has to do with reclaiming a bit of our ancient heritage here on this planet. There's something really, really big happening this year. In fact, it's so big, something as big hasn't happened in over 250 billion years in this 15-dimensional time matrix. By the end of this workshop, you'll understand what that means. Hopefully so will I, because we are, as many of you probably, hopefully all of you know, if I say the word Hitharo, all right, that was covered in some of the preliminary materials you were asked to get before coming to this workshop. We are preparing for Hitharo cycle that will occur on May 27th of 2003, and that's just a tiny part of a much larger thing. We're going to learn about Hitharo during this workshop and a lot of other things as well. The Hitharo, just to fill you in, because we remember when it was given, it's a what? It's a Hitharo. How do you spell that? H-E-T-H-A-R-O. Okay, Hitharo. What's a Hitharo? That's what I asked when they started giving me the information on Hitharo. We were getting bits and pieces of it from the France workshop in November on. Well, we've got more than bits and pieces of it now. We're still putting pieces on paper and making paste-ups of very detailed diagrams to illustrate certain things. But what it comes down to understand Hitharo and what we're going to be going through, we need to understand what's called advanced universal level Merkaba mechanics. Now, we've been working in the Dance 4 programs with Merkaba, but we've been doing it in a very interesting way. We've touched on Merkaba, we play with Merkaba a little bit, but we've been working with the shields directly, which control the Merkaba fields. Now, we're going to get a crash course in what Merkaba fields really are about in this workshop, because we need to understand the nature, the function, and the wacky things Merkaba fields can do under certain conditions if we're going to really mentally grasp what a Hitharo is all about. A Hitharo is part of a cycle that begins with the Hitharo, which is called the electrical peak. When we say electrical peak, we're referring to the peak or top speed of the spin of the electrical Merkaba in a Merkaba spiral set. It is followed by another event called the Hithalan, which is the magnetic peak, which for about 4 years now, we've been talking about it as the 2003 dimensional blend experiment that the intruder races were planning for this planet. Well, there's a lot more than a dimensional blend experiment involved. There are very specific stages in a cycle that is about renewal. It's the great cleansing and renewal cycle that was predicted in the Hopi legends and in the Mayan calendar and in some of the Egyptian prophecies. It is the time period that even the ancients knew, even though their records had been stolen in Atlantis. They still had memory, and they still had some information about that time when it would come. Now, it wasn't until November of this year, last year, 2002, that it was determined whether or not a full Hitharo cycle would take place on this planet or in this 15-dimensional system. Things took place that we'll learn about probably Sunday. We're going to go into the Spear of Destiny information. It's like if you thought the flaming blue sword of Archangel Michael was bad, this is even worse. However, worse can be better in certain situations, and that's precisely what has occurred. Because events have become so bad and imminent destruction of this 15-dimensional time matrix was so near that the override system on the cosmic level of the cosmic Merkaba fields, the cosmic Ithara, and that stairway to heaven of the Eka God world maps has triggered into activation. And with that activation, something called the Ark of the Covenant passage will fully open for the first time in over 250 billion years. Earth has only had the Ark of the Covenant passage since about 840,000 years ago. That was when it was put online with the Ark of the Covenant system. The Ark of the Covenant system is an emergency override system, which allows for certain very interesting phenomena of universal Merkaba mechanics to take place that allows life forms on planets and planetary systems themselves that have what's called a lower accretion level. They do not have a base 12 system. Their DNA template is not base 12, or their matter base is not base 12. It gives them a protection against the natural cycle of Hitharo, because Hitharo is very natural. It's actually part of what's called replenishing of the Christos seed atom. And we're going to get probably it depends on how fast it moves today or not, either later this evening or tomorrow. We're going to get into the advanced Merkaba mechanics that teaches us about what is this Christos seed atom thing, because it's at the center of your Merkaba, and it's what makes your Merkaba spin, if it's working properly. And there is a natural cycle of replenishing. There's a difference, and this is, when we talk about the word Christos, or Christ, or Christ, of creation, the closest to source. There was the Christ grid, which is the first Tree of Life Cathara grid, and the Christalla put together. Now, things that are built upon the mathematical programming of the Christ grid are Christos, and what that means is they have the ability to perpetually self-regenerate. It means that they have an open conduit of circulation of consciousness and life force energy between the manifestation fields and God source directly. So they are eternal life as opposed to finite life. They are eternal free energy systems as opposed to finite energy systems that struggle and compete for power or for energy. So when we talk about Christos, we talk about concepts as far as consciousness, but we also talk about very, very specific mechanics. We were challenged on this recently, and I found it funny. It took them a while. I guess it must be getting on his nerves at this point. I won't mention names. But certain people are out there listening to certain angels that like to tell people how to spin their Merkabas in the same direction. Well, if you want to create a compacted atom and implode yourself from the inside out, go for it, guys. Well, we have, at this point, a level of Merkaba mechanics that shows not only the way it works with our body and how we can activate our universal flame bodies through the Merkaba mechanics, but it shows Merkaba in relation to Hitharo on a cosmic level and what this means. And it's absolutely fascinating. For the first time, we've got the graphs from the CDD plates that show how the Cathara 12-tree grid, or the Tree of Life grid, plugs into the Merkaba field, how those two pieces relate directly to each other. We've learned a lot about the pieces. Now we're getting the information that shows us how all of those pieces fit together. And once we begin to understand how those pieces fit together, there's a really exciting thing that becomes available to us. And it's called the inner Ark of the Covenant and the inner rod and the staff. Now, when we first published the Voyagers books in '99, we mentioned a bit in the history about the rod and the staff Stargate tools. There are physical outside of the body Stargates, and there are physical outside of the body Stargate tools called the rod and the staff that activate certain things in the planetary Templar. They were given as a gift, the outside tools, were given as a gift to the Magi Graeline races here, the Indigo races, that allowed them to open the gates to the inner Eka universes so they could go back and forth between here and inner Earth in the ancient times. There have been many, many fights and struggles all through our recorded history over chasing the box with the Ark tools in it, the Ark of the Covenant gold box. The reason why everybody wanted the big gold box was because it held two tools in it, the rod and the staff, that were charged with frequency from the Eka universes that had the ability, if used properly with the right coding, you had to have the right DNA to make them work properly, you could open the gates and get out of here. You could go back and forth. What people have been chasing for all of these centuries of our recorded history has been the ability to conquer the Templar or to heal the Templar. because the gray line races, the angelic human race, and the indigo races were put here to heal the template and the Templar of this planet, to get it back in line with the Christos divine blueprint. And what that means is to incarnate on the planet over and over again until the time comes when it's time for Hitharo. We have waited ages for this to happen in this, not just on Earth, but in this 15-dimensional universe. It is awesome that it is happening, and I will admit something. Now, it's really neat for me, because I go, oh my God, help. Can I quit and send in somebody that knows more? I've been on this planet and in this 15-dimensional system for much, much longer than I could probably remember, and I remember at least back as far as about 570 billion years or so. I have cellular memory open for the most key important parts of that. The rest we keep closed because it wastes megabytes in the body, and you don't want to waste space. But I remember red pulses. I remember pole shifts. I remember intergalactic wars. I remember living and dying, being blown up and being put back together through them. But there's one thing I have no memory bank on, and that is a full universal Hitharo, because I wasn't in the Matrix when that happened. Very, very few were. Only the very, very ancients were here the last time it happened. It was referred to as the coming of the Christ, or the Christ. This is, and it has been predicted, as the second coming of the Christ. Everybody's expecting a guy in white robes with holes in his hands to walk down the street and say, hi, I'm here, y'all told you I was coming. Well, that's not exactly what it was about. In Atlantis, those stories were fabricated to cover up the truth. So the angelic human races, the guardians of this planet, the indigo races, would be so mutated, unaware, and forgetful by the time this happened that they would not be able to do their job. And if they weren't able to do their job, there's a certain thing, a dynamic, that takes place in a Hitharo cycle. The Hitharo is a renewal cycle where if you look at a seed atom as something that's a spark of God energy that comes into a manifest form, into the template, to energize the form, and as that form expresses itself outward into manifestation, at a certain point, that original sum of energy is expended. Now, what happens in Christos systems is the interior of the template, the Christos seed atom, opens back up and allows a new burst of direct energy from God's source to come back through to set another whole billion year or so cycle, billions of year cycle emotion. It's natural and it's normal for this to happen. And we'll learn about it. And some of it's going to be reading, because at this point, I wouldn't want to paraphrase anything. I'm learning at a level that I find extremely challenging. So if you find some of the information very challenging, I can see why. So do we. But we will read to you directly as it was, some of it, directly as it was translated, and then try to, connect it to the things that we already know. But we're heading for an amazing time. And there will be things on the outside that reflect this back to us. And I'm still, for those of you who know I've been asking this question for about a year now, what's it going to look like on the outside? I still don't have a satisfactory answer for myself. I have clues, and by the end of this we may have more, because there's something I do know. The Guardians are waiting for a certain level of information to release in the grids, and it has to do with Ireland here. It has to do with a temple called the Temple of Zephardon. And that is something that's going to be activating while we are here. In fact, those who want to be a part of it are going to help to activate that temple. It's going to activate with or without us. But the indigo race lines hold the seals, the security seals on it. And if they're not released, it creates quite a ruckus when it comes through into the planetary grids. So the reason why we do the grid work that we do, for anyone who doesn't know, isn't because we're making things happen. What we're doing is fulfilling a promise that we made ages ago when we first came into incarnational cycles here, to participate in simply releasing the security seals. Because if we weren't here, it was going to be allowed to roll, because it meant that fallen races were here. If the guardian races had been exterminated, we wouldn't be here to release the seals. And when the frequencies came in during periods of Hitharo, or even the smaller renewal cycles that come more often than a Hitharo does, that the planet itself would be allowed to go into pole shift and go into a whole clearing cycle. So it would clear the surface of those who would try to do it ultimate permanent damage by taking it into the black hole systems. So right now, this temple is so secret, we didn't even know about it until we got here. I've been trying to put this workshop program together, working the last 5 or so days on this whole burst of new material that came through. Some of it was starting to come through around December, November, where we were putting it out on the internet. Like, the emergency release data. Here's these symbols, the Ark of the Covenant symbols. Don't ask me right now. But here, if you trust us, it feels good to you, do this, right? Well, you'll understand exactly where they come from, what they're about. But the information we've been getting is so intensive and mechanically very difficult. You'll see when you get the graphs this time what goes into creating these graphs. They took about at least a day a piece, some of them, to put them together because they were so intricate on Merkaba mechanics. The Merkaba mechanics are cosmic level and universal level, but they're also Merkaba mechanics of how they operate right in our bodies. There's going to be something given to us on Sunday, I believe it is, that is the key to a very advanced form of healing and flame body activation that is only available when level 6 evac happens, when the Ark of the Covenant opens. So we're going to be given a whole bunch of information that we don't even know yet. We're going to be learning this together. One of the biggest things that we're here for, from what I hear, is to open the security release seals on the temple of Zephardun. And that temple is in Newgrange. All right. Now we are going to add part of the symbols here. We're going to, there's a field trip to Newgrange area for the people who want to come with that. I've never been there in this life anyway, but it's connected to the Island, which is right over whatever direction that is, across the water from the hotel here. That is Q Site 11. There's this whole complex of very specialized crystal pylon temples that connect to the Eka universal systems and connect them to Earth and to this system that only open when the Ark of the Covenant is fully activated. They're called the Sleeping Gentle Giant, and the Sleeping Gentle Giant is waking up. For the period of time we are here, this is its wake-up cycle. It's connected to many other things, because before any of the other things like Hitharo can take place, the Gentle Giant comes into activation, and that activates something called the Real Rod and the Staff, which are not just the external Stargate tools. They are literal energy configurations within the planetary body, within the universal body, and within your own physical bodies. So there's this whole string of interrelated frequency activations that are going to take place really rapidly. What's nice about the fact that we went from a level 3 evac, which we were at before November, that meant there was going to be flame body activation on the planet. That meant people that didn't have ability to activate flame body were going to have a real hard time staying alive on planet because those frequencies would be too strong for their templates to handle. We did not have the Ark of the Covenant at that time opening. It wouldn't open to the full level. You can open the smaller gates, but they don't do the same thing as when all of it opens. We're on level 6 evac now because the Wisadrak races, they're called. They're from the parallel Wisadrak black hole. That's the parallel of the Wisadek black hole. Things go in pairs in this universal system. They activated something in retaliation to the Wisadeks, who have activated their beast machine with its flaming blue sword of Archangel Michael D13 reverse current that's meant to pull us into a black hole. So the Drax and the Wisadraks and the Wisadeks are going to be fighting it out here. You're starting to watch that now. What's going to be interesting is, if we have time on Sunday, which I'm sure we will, we'll play a bit with looking at symbols. Once we start to understand some of the geomancies or the mathematical patterns that look like geometrical forms that are used to control and mess with the shields by these guys, you'll start to have a chuckle of national flags and things. There's crescents and stars of various points, and there's colors and things on flags. And it becomes very obvious once you understand the geomancies that are being used in the shields by different groups, be they Wisadraks, Wisadeks, or what do you call them? Not Anadrakis, something else. It's a combination of the two. Wisadek? No. Wisanakis, right. Yeah, right. Which are kind of like the hybrid ones that are actually working the UIR Wisadek agenda, but they're draconian races that actually, they're in this side of the black hole system as opposed to the parallel, and they're fighting against their own kind and have joined the UIR. So there's a whole bunch of wacky stuff going down that we're going to see politically. It helps if you watch the news knowing these things. But then you get bored. Oh, just get on with it already. If you're going to do this, get it over with. You're really boring me to death. You know, you want these people to have peace. You don't want people to go make war with each other. But you know what? They're going to. They have an ancient battle to solve here, and they're still going to fight it. Whether George Bush gets to go in and flatten Iraq when he wants to or not, that remains to be seen. But he really, really wants to go. Meanwhile, the important things that are happening are not the confusing, distracting things that are outside. They're the things that are happening on the inside of the template. That's where the problems are actually starting, and that's where the solutions have to start too. It's really kind of funny. We've gone from the level 3 to the level 6 evac, and things have actually got easier instead of harder. At this point, we have the assistance of what's called the Golden Fleece. We'll learn more about what that is tomorrow when we get into not just the Merkaba mechanics, but once you get into Merkaba mechanics, and we'll do a touch base on the stuff that, like, where did we come from? We learned what about what? Okay, we got there. No, I'm not going back to the diagram of the 15-dimensional time matrix, I promise. I will not start at that beginning. Right? No. But we will get to the point where we get through the advanced Merkaba mechanics of how they work in general. Then there's a level of data that applies to the Ark of the Covenant passage and how that works within the whole scenario of Hetharo, Hethalon. There's another stage after Hethalon that's called the what? The Rushate, which is resetting of the cosmic clock, to put it simply. The 12 Rushe pillars, that period of time when they each come in until the 12th one enters is the Rushate period. And then in a full Hetharo cycle, the end of that is called the Ekashai. And that's what we are looking toward in 2012. December 21st, 2012 will be the Ekashai, the fulfillment of the Ekashai, which is a whole series of very, very technical activations that take place in the planetary, galactic, universal grids that take place within our bodies as well, because we're connected to those grids. So we're going to have quite an understanding of some very interesting things that will make it even harder to talk to anybody else regular. You know? People that don't. I mean, did you ever get to the point, even with this stuff, like as far as you've learned right now, where you realize you just can't carry on a conversation that might, you know, that you might be interested in with most other people you meet that aren't familiar with the work? It's a little frustrating. You'd love to share it with them, but they really don't want to know. They look at you like you're nuts, you know. So this will put you in a whole other category of at least being able to do one thing. There's going to be, let's say, more hassle, I hear, from certain groups that are teaching reversed Antichristos Merkaba, because they're getting very frustrated because some of their best teachers and things are running away because they're learning that there's more to Merkaba than what they have taught, and they're learning it from information that leaked out from this direction. So you're going to have probably more hassles in your face. There are going to be people motivated by the fallen angelic groups that are a bit ruffled now, that we're pointing out that they're doing it backwards on purpose. You will have the technical knowledge that if you want to, you can say, excuse me, but you know, you're welcome to believe what you want to believe. But do you know how this works? This is how this works. Sometimes it's worth going there with people if they want to know. Other times, it's absolutely not worth it. So the level of technicals you have will also prepare you for something else. There's going to come a time, and I can tell there's going to come a time, but I'm not sure yet exactly when it's going to be. We're going to be visited, and it's probably going to be by the not nice ones first. But whether or not the intruder races decide to make a mass appearance where they let their presence be officially known, whether or not that occurs, the Iani races are going to let their presence be known. It will start with individuals. It will start with small groups of individuals. What you're learning in the workshops now, what we're all learning, are the advanced mechanics, what we consider advanced mechanics of Merkaba, understanding how our bodies work, how the universe works, how the planet kind of works together, that kind of stuff. So we can carry on an intelligent conversation when they come to talk to us. Because I do believe there's going to be a period of time when we're going to be taught first how to enter a state of what's called bilocation, how to do it consciously. So we can leave part of ourselves here while putting the other part of our consciousness and go in and visit in the inner ecosystems. So you've got to be able to get your mind and your emotional body and your spiritual body there before you're going to take your physical body anyplace. That's going to be one of the first parts of our training. And I get a funny feeling they have some surprises in store for me and for you, but mostly for me, that when we get done with the workshop this time, you'll see some of the mechanics and the dynamics of energy and how they work. You can say two things. One, why are they giving us this level now? Why are they giving us this much information now, unless we needed it because something that we're totally unprepared to deal with is going to happen if we didn't know this information? The other thing is, when we get done with this, we're going to see the potentials of what's opening where, when, what enters by location. We're going to see that there's a charge, that I feel it, behind some of the trips that we're going to be asked to go on. I don't know when it is. I know two very strong possibilities of if something's going to happen, it might be then, which would be May, and the May trip and the August trip this year, because those are two very, very peak points where major frequency is going to be running and where major gates open between here and the ACA. Now, I don't know if they're going to make contact then. I don't know what they're going to do. They've said a few things on that, because I'm asking, all the time, are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? Please do it. Please, please. We could all use the encouragement. There's a lot of factors in that decision. Part of the factors are what the Illuminati sides are doing, because every time, if we do things that annoy them, or if the ECHA people do things that annoy them, then they waste some of their energy trying to mess with the ECHA people, and they put people at risk unnecessarily. They don't want to put you at risk, they don't want to put us at risk, and they don't want to put their own kind at risk unless there's a good reason to do it. But I do get a feeling that the contact will probably start personally and subtly, but it's going to be stepped up very much because of the frequency changes we're going through. The most important things that we really need to know, at least as far as I know, I think these are the most important things. Maybe by the end of the weekend I'll know there's even more important things we need to know when more information comes in. But we need to understand basically the process of what we're going to go through, what our bodies are going to go through. We've already been working on the solutions for ourselves, flame body activation. We're going to be given a few more codes to work with the shield, so we're going to start to understand something called stanzas, which the first set of stands we saw were the 4 symbol codes that were given over the Christmas period. The I just call them the yan, the yun, the yan yun, and the big round thing, but I do have the names in my head. If anybody's been following them, if anybody's yeah, you want me to prove it? No, I'll prove it later when I'm doing technicals. Anyway, I think what I'd like to start with as far as official program, rather than just rambling on and saying hello to all you people, and I'm so glad you're all here, and it amazes me how many of you are here. I think we will go into first reading some of the information that was given, this was the kickoff of this new body of information, this new wave of information. Many of you might have read it. It was what was posted on the internet. We're going to read that quickly and then talk a little bit about the information that's contained in there. After that, whatever time it gets to be after that, either because they have scheduled breaks here at certain times. Again, I have to deal with human time, which I'm clueless on. But after that, we will go into, as brief as possible, review of just stringing things together. Okay, we started here, we learned all this, this is what it applies to. It helps to have that. What did I do? Okay, I did Dance for Life, I did Dance for Love. What did I learn there? What did I learn there? There's so much that we've learned in each program. It's actually hard to sometimes say, what did I learn? A whole bunch of stuff. I learned about shields and DNA and how to do flame body. And there's a certain sequence that I just want to run through, and it's the visuals again. The eyes are a very special thing. They are indeed the keys to the soul, the windows to the soul. And when you see the visual images, this is why we take so much time on the diagrams, you are taking in huge blocks of information, just like you do on a symbol code. The diagrams themselves are symbol codes that hold the information that they're trying to depict to you. So we're going to go through that sequence quickly, not starting with the 15-dimensional matrix. If you guys don't have that emblazoned within your cells by now, I give up. Right? We've had to go over that so many times, trying, with new people coming in the beginning, with mixing people, like master classes with beginning classes. But we'll go through that series, and then we will probably, I'm aiming for tonight, but I'm not sure if we'll get through the whole section of it, get into the advanced Merkaba mechanics and the new graphs, some of the new graphs that they've given us. Now, some of the new graphs will come tomorrow because we will be pasting them up tonight instead of sleeping as usual. We have the Ark of the Covenant graphs, which show the gate interfaces between our gates here and the Eka gates and the Ark gates and all that kind of stuff. They're in progress, and the Merkaba ones were done first. And it's really funny because I've been saying, can we just do like one sequence of something instead of like number 1, 2, and 3 over here, number 4 and 7 over there? You know, it's like I have all these graphs laid out all over, half done, and I'm taking it the way they want it done. And I looked at it and I said, okay, where are we even starting this program? What do you guys want to do with this? And they said, here, take that set right there. They go together. Look at them. Here, sequence them that way. I said, oh, we do have a run. All right, so we do have a program this evening. Otherwise, I will just try to talk with you and say, oh dear, here we go again. I don't know I don't know how we're going to learn what we're supposed to learn. But that isn't the case. And I was very relieved when 45 minutes before we were supposed to be down here, the sequence was given. So we can do the Merkaba, the advanced Merkaba, tonight if there's enough time. And then tomorrow we will go into the next section that has to do with Ark of the Covenant and what that is. There's going to be a certain part that they haven't sequenced yet, and I can feel there's a key piece that's not released in the grids yet, so they haven't given it to me, but it's coming. It might be tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening. That has to do with one of the things that made me chuckle the most and made me excited was, how do you steer your Merkaba? Ever think about it? Okay, I have this Merkaba field. Okay, I'm going to make a really big one. Great, what do I do with it then? Right? Like, how do I point it in the right direction? What do you do? Point your head? I mean, yeah. No. We're going to do, it's called full Rishik shield activation, which is the full level 3, the flame body activation, Rishaic level. And we'll find in there that what controls where you point your Merkaba is a built-in steering wheel that's called the rod of rod and staff fame. The rod has to do with your palms and with something that activates in the palms under what's called the 1111 or the 211 code. And we're going to learn how to open that code in the body. We had it spontaneously happen the other night where the palms went. And now we've had palms activate for Cathara healing and that kind of stuff. And you could feel little vortices, and you could feel when they're really pushing energy. This was a whole different feeling. I really woke up and said, oh, God, no, this is not going to be stigmata, is it? I hate that stuff. You know? And they said, no, when your template's working right, you don't get stigmata. You know? It's only when it's not working right that it damages the matter form in the flesh. But there was this amazing feeling in my palms. I could distinctly feel discs of energy. It felt like little thin, like wafer-shaped discs spinning, one way, one the other, and then there was a third one in between them that did something different. It vibrated instead of spun, and they all came together. And I found myself, it kind of blew me into the astral, and I'm in the astral, and these huge flames about this high were all of a sudden in the palms. And I was going, ow, 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 it's hot. They were really, really hot. And Ma'a was working with me, Iani Ma'a. And he's saying, don't worry about it, you're all right. Yeah, how you doing? All right. You want me to shut it off yet? No, don't shut it off yet. Don't shut it off yet. But then we had some interference from another angle. That was just the first night we were here, not at this hotel, but the place we had to stay in Ireland on the way to this hotel. We got a little astral battle going down there because somebody in the grid space didn't like it. But the potential was awesome. And what was really funny is I had my experience with it, and then I hadn't told Az about it at all. And then he woke up later that night and told me about his palms activating and the whole bit. So he got it too. And this is something that is going with the activations that are happening in the grids here. This is why we were called here at this time. There are certain activations of the Zephardun temple that are taking place here. These connect to Stonehenge. They connect to Newgrange, to Stonehenge, to the Gru all over in Florida. These are main energy override centers that only activate in level 6 evacuation. But there's really fun aspects to level 6 evacuation too. As much as you've got and whatever you've got, you get to get it all in body as fast as possible, which is really nice instead of doing it the long way. So we're going to learn. They haven't given the technique yet, but we've had it done. Like we didn't consciously do it. It's like, boom, all of a sudden, these flame things are happening in the palms, and you could just feel the power. You could feel the connection to source. It was just an awesome level. It's stronger than any activation that I've felt. And we're all going to have that if we want it. I mean, of course, any of the activations that, it's between you, your own Christos, and the planetary grids, because we're not giving you the activations. They're coming through from the grids. What we're doing is letting you know what they are and how to work with them so they don't freak you out or, destabilize your energy fields. But we don't give those activations to you. They belong to you. But it is a gift that the universe is giving to all of us. And it's kind of like what I saw, the phenomena that I was beginning to see with the three little shields. They're like little tiny shields or wafer discs in my palms. We're going to be doing the same thing, or the planet's going to be doing the same thing with its stargates. Has to do with combining the particle universe and the anti-particle universe shields through the Ark of the Covenant shield, which creates a buffer field, the golden fleece field, that allows for, how would I describe it in quick terms without getting technical? It allows for an event that's called the Golden Dawn, and it has nothing to do with Aleister Crowley's twisted metaphysical teachings. It has to do with a frequency that's comprised of D14, pale yellow, D8, gold, and D12, pale silver light, that blends together and comes through and creates a frequency platform and a sheath around our radial bodies. Right, and around every little radial body, around every little atom that we have in our bodies. It is an extremely strong healing field. It's also a field that whatever your DNA is, if you have a minimum of 31 to 33% of Divine Blueprint Base 12 coding left, even if it's not activated, but if it's left in your template at all, you will be able to pick up the frequencies of the golden fleece field, and it will progressively begin to bring your template back as fast as possible, which means there's going to be a lot of people who normally would have experienced some very dire consequences under level 3 evacuation will not be experiencing that level of consequence. There will still be some who fall. What it's going to look like, again, I have a feeling it may be a little more roly-poly in level 6, as far as planet roly-poly, as far as volcanoes popping up here and waves popping up there. They have not told us yet that it's going to pole shift. They have told us that the original level 3 evac plan involved the Hitharo, but on a smaller scale. There wasn't as much frequency coming through. Would be able to take care of the Nibiru problem, which is the wormwood problem. And those are, hopefully everybody knows what I'm talking about when I talk about wormwood. It was in, a lot of the other work. Big asteroid coming in from elsewhere, trying to bypass Earth and whip it down a black hole. That was going to be taken care of in level 3 evac because of the angle of frequencies as they would come down the universal stargates in Hitharo. The arcs of frequency would actually hit the wormwood body as it came up through the dimensional locks in our solar system. The angle of things are changing now because of the level 6. Actually, it's not the level 6 evac that changed them. Because they changed, we went to level 6. In November, the Wisadrax activated their Spear of Destiny implant grids within not just our planet, but within this universal time matrix. That's changing the angle of the blue fire sword from the other guys, from the Wisadrax that's coming in. And it means that a couple of things. One of the things it means is that the natural projectile angle of the arcs that were going to come down are not going to hit wormwood the same way as they would have, which means there's a chance it won't split up into as small of tiny pieces as they were hoping it would. So there may be an issue with that. We've not been told that there will be. It's still on standby. They will let us know. They have told us there would be 3 months if it ever got to the point where there had to be, like when they talk evac, they're talking take planet with you evac, right? Take it into frequency space that keeps it safe and keeps it stable. If it ever gets to the point where we're on can't take planet with you, take bodies, right? Whatever ones can go, get them out. If it gets to that point, they will let us know, and they said they give us 3 months warning. If it get, they would know enough to give us 3 months warning. They haven't given us that warning yet. So it looks pretty positive. One of the interesting things that's happened with the Wisadrak activation of their Spear of Destiny, this is an event that the Iani actually, of the Eka, could have stopped if they had put up their shields to their own gates, because this activation entailed the Wisadraks actually attacking their Universal Stargate 1. and that one is called Brennaway. They attacked that a long time ago in 208,216 BC as well, and that's how we ended up in more of the fall here on this planet. If they had put their shields up, it would have deflected the frequencies that were thrown at their Stargate 1. Those frequencies would have bounced back, bounced through the parallel system and through our system, and decimated most of our universe and the parallel universe. Now, they could have saved themselves. They could have protected the Eka, but it would have annihilated everything in these two systems. So it was a no-brainer for them. They didn't put their shields up, which means the Eka temples have been attacked. And this is going to be progressive. What that means, though, is that the automatic cosmic level override has kicked in. Because when an Eka is in danger of falling into black hole status, then the whole Templar will reset itself. It was built and designed that way. It will recreate the first creation. And that's what the Hitharo cycle is. It's going back to the original point of vibration in this matrix when the first creation was created, and literally going back through it again. It's a natural function of how the Templar works. There's some interesting readings that they've given us, and we've pulled pieces of them because stuff was coming in like blocks over here and blocks over there, like 20 different interrelated subjects. There wasn't like a flow of data that could be a nice organized chart pack. We've been pulling excerpts of the most important things. Some of the excerpts involve how this system works, how this anti-Christos potential exists and the Christos potential, why Source created this, like what is it, a masochist? It explains some of that. So we'll do some readings on that probably tomorrow. I think we'll do that, maybe today, but we'll see. So there's a lot of information anyway that we're going to cover. And I think what I'd like to do is start with touching base again with what started this wave of new level of revelation. Tell you, I feel like I'm swimming at full speed and just treading water and going nowhere sometimes. Does anybody feel that pulse of frequency? It's like things just keep moving faster and faster. You get to one point, you figure, good, I can stop now and rest for a little bit. Oh, no, you can't. There comes the next one, and you get like catapulted to the next level. There's going to be a lot of this happening from now on. There's going to be two separate time fields simultaneously birthing on this planet that are going to ride together until 2012 and then fall away from each other. What that's going to look like, I'm still asking. But for now, it helps. Detail helps. This is one of the things probably why I was born with like a triple Virgo imprint. So I'd be really good at detail. And I've been actually pushed to my limit of detail with this stuff at this point, to where I'm going, can I quit now? Can it be his turn? He's speaker too. Can he go now? They're saying soon, don't worry. But we have detail, and we'll start touching base with some of that detail with just going back over what was posted on the internet. Now, I do want to say one thing. How this information came was kind of fascinating. How the whole menagerie of information that flooded through on the Ark of the Covenant, on the yin-yang, on all of these things, how that came into our awareness. We had a really bizarre experience. We were talking on the phone one night with some friends in a different country, and talking about something to do with work. And all of a sudden, the lights went out, the phone went dead. Now, at our house, you figure, it's the trip switch again, right? So we went, fixed the trip switch, went back off. We went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, to the point where we said, all right, forget it. They want to stay off, we'll leave them off. But in between that, we couldn't get the phone call back either. We completely lost the people, and we just couldn't get back out on the line that evening at all. Now, what was really odd was, in the first time when the lights had gone off and we got the breaker back on, or the trip switch back on, I had a glass that had been sitting on the table, like in the middle of this big table we have. Nobody was near it. It didn't get bumped. Nothing could touch it. And it had been sitting there with some liquid in it, and it had cracked. I was like, oh, shoot, how'd that happen? I was going to pick it up and throw it away. What is that? It's the weirdest crack I've ever seen. It was a yen symbol, before we knew the word yen symbol. It was like a perfect broken into the glass shape of this particular symbol. And I looked at it as I was going to throw it away and said, I think that this is a symbol of some sort. This is weird. And we just got, and like the lights went off again, and we got, a bit more of that going back and forth. And we got the prickles. We could just feel it. We felt presence in the house that night too. Yeah, after that. Yeah, a few of them we bounced as well. Yeah. But what we didn't know was that night in the Eka grids, what are called the yin-yang stands patterns, which are energy flow patterns, activated in the Eka grids. Our house, we were guided to rent the house that we're in because it sits on one of the Ark of the Covenant gate interface sites, which we didn't know either. They just told us it was important to be there. It interfaces with the Eka. There's a special gate there, right? And that's all they told us. Well, when it activated, when the Yan symbol activated, when that flow pattern activated in the Eka grids, it actually manifested in our house in that manner. It actually, cracked the glass. We tried to take a picture of it, but it's hard to take a picture of a clear glass with a, design broken into it. We still have the glass, though. I forgot the pictures. I was going to try anyway, even though it was really vague on that one. But that was when we first became aware of any of this stuff. And then the next day, this flood of information. The information that we're going to read here that was put out on the internet. I mean, it was just like, get it out to anybody who, as fast as possible, anybody who wants it, because it was a major grid activation. There's a series of them. It's like the Wisadrak grids. They have to do with the Spear of Destiny. They are a series of grid activations that build. The first one was called the pentagonal activation, and if you think of a pentagon, it's a 5-pointed star. It is a 5-pointed star that forms in a very specific way in relation to the shields between here, parallel, and Eka. There's a series of activations of their grids that take place, and the Ark of the Covenant activates in synchronization. Theirs activates, ours activates. Theirs activates, ours activates. And it does that to balance out the frequencies. What this grid activation has done, though, was trigger early activation of what we've talked about in the Dance for Freedom program, the Metatronic seed atom, the 666 seed atom, that's meant to reverse your template. The Wisadrak activations trigger more rapid activation of that than the Wisadek Blue Sword activations would have. And the purpose is because they're trying to steal the Metatronic grids away from the Wisadaks. They're trying to take the flaming blue sword that looks like a cross and turn it upside down and make it into the Spear of Destiny, right? Which means they're trying to take the Metatronic seed atoms in the shields, the universal shields, and then your body shields, and reverse them into the mathematical coding that would make them fall into the parallel Wisadrak matrix instead of fall into the Wisadek matrix. Now, they actually have done us a favor, and so have the Iani, by allowing their world to be invaded in order to allow the Ark to open, because they know their world will be reset after a bit of bumping, grinding, and who knows what it's going to look like there. But they know that many, many people and many, many life forms in this particular universal Veka will be able to get host matrix out of this system now into another, literally another Stairway to Heaven Veka lineup. This system is going to be reset, which means after 2012, beings that can't hold base 12 are not going to be able to survive here. The frequency will be too high on this planet. What the opportunity we have now because of the Ark of the Covenant is that we will be able to, beings that don't have a base 12, will get frequency support from the Golden Fleece fields. They will be able to, if they're able to catch those pulses of frequency and activate them within their own bodies, they will be able to sustain the frequency field of the Golden Fleece buffer field in their field, so they can move through and they can stay on planet. They can make the transition out so they don't have to fall. It also means ones that can't fully make enough activation in their templates can still pick up the Golden Fleece frequency enough to go out of this system through the Ark of the Covenant gates. The Ark of the Covenant gates are base 6 gates. Now most gates, natural stargates, are base 12, which means every dimension has 12 sub-frequency bands in it. Now every sub-frequency band has what's called a Kelon quotient, or an energy thrust quotient, a quantum of energy. When you're working with base 12, that is much stronger than a base 6. The Ark gates are designed as a half step where you don't have to have a base 12 template to get hosted out or to begin regenerating your own template. So it's been a gift. What the Draconian races have done was a gift. And it wasn't done out of malice either. The reason, there was actually a very noble decision on their part. They knew that if they attempted to activate those grids, that the Eka people could very easily put up the shields and they would self-destruct. They would have preferred self-destruct to what the other option is. If they hadn't activated their grids in November of 2002, because the Wisedex on this side of the black hole had activated their blue sword, the Wisedrax were going to be pulled in and assimilated by the others. And the Wisedrax hate them, and they have terrorized them. In fact, it was the Wisedex that very long ago, in the fall of Lyra, 250 billion years ago, the Anu-based races, the Wisedek, which became the Wisedek races when they hybridized, tried to destroy the Draconian races. The Draconians have done some horrible things. The Omicron and those guys have done some horrible things, and the Wisedrax, who are the hybrids of them. But most of what they have done has been in retaliation or in defense, because they're being struck at, so they're striking back. They activated their grids, not because they were trying to hurt us at all. I mean, they really... They're very self-centered, where they don't much care who gets in the way if you get hurt too bad. But they're not going after indigos or humans specifically at all. They're trying to preserve themselves in a battle that they didn't initiate. It's a battle that the other side initiated. And they made their choice, almost like a warrior, like you hear of the ancient, I think it was Chinese warriors. They'd fall on their sword before they'd let the enemy take them. And it was kind of, that was the attitude that they activated the pentagonal sequence with. The pentagonal sequence starts the activation of a series of grid activations that lead up to the Spear of Destiny activation, which is literally when the Flaming Blue Sword attempts to come in on May 27th for their Fire Sword initiation on the other side. It gets hit with another beam that tries to reverse it. This could cause a mess. I really don't know what this is going to look like yet, but I do know, because the art grids have now activated, and they will fully open on May 27th. Well, they're going to start to open now, but they'll be fully open and active for May 27th, Hitharo. That will stabilize a lot of that. So what would normally be fire and brimstone and probably a lot of other things they took out of the Bible won't, I don't think, be like that. I don't think there's going to be any huge trauma. But anyway, this is the information that started this wave of information. And I would just like to say one more time, we are exhausted with this. If a lot of you people might feel that it's hard to keep up with the work sometimes, oh, geez, more, can't we ever just does always have to be so heavy, so hard, so much? I really wish it didn't sometimes. Again, understanding what's happening is the hard part. The easy part is what you do about it. So again, we're going to be given codes. It's getting easier and easier to use shield code induction because we're holding more and more frequency. We don't have to, manually spin our Merkabas anymore just to get them to hold now. If you're working with the codes and, you went through that phase, they'll hold. And they will continue to hold and pick up speed. So the solutions are easy again. But there's a surprise at the end of this workshop that I don't know about yet. And I can feel it there. And it's been bugging me because I knew they were going to do that. And I really would prefer to go into a workshop saying, yes, there's going to be a surprise and know what it is. Right? But I feel there's another block of information that has to do with something that's all interconnected, that has to do with all of us on these grids. In other words, we could come up here by ourselves, but we wouldn't be able to trigger the grids to release the information. See, the planet itself, the shields, store data. And all of ourselves that we've ever been in incarnation on this planet and the other time vectors have a part of our living memory matrix right in the planet. We've left information for ourselves for this time. So there's something that's going to come from the collective field and the frequencies that are being here on these grids. It just gives to the Earth. The Earth is going to give it back. I get a feeling we're each going to get a piece of it, but we're also there's going to be like a data dispensation given that we'll get a translation of to talk about. So that was new. I didn't know that when I walked in here. So anyway, I'm going to turn it back over to here. I'm going to get a sip of something to drink, too. Are you ready to weed? Yeah. So
right. Secrets of the Ark of the Covenant and the Landing of the Falcon. In Voyages Volume 2, the Ark of the Covenant, that's of Palador, is described as a portal passage between D2 Earth and the D9 Andromeda Universal Stargate 9 system that was created by Emerald Covenant Guardian groups 840,000 years ago to enable the third seeding of the angelic human lineage on Earth. The Ark of the Covenant big gold box that has been part of humanity's legendary heritage, and for which many have quested since ancient times, is a large box that was created after the 9558 BC fall of Atlantis to house the radioactive rod and staff Stargate portal opening tools. Both the Ark, and in this context think electrical arc, and the Ark, spelt with a K, think gold box, are real, intangible physical terms. The existence and history of the Ark has been shrouded in mystery since the Ark passage was last fully opened to the universal Vecca level by the inner Eka Earth Iani to evacuate groups of people in 9558 BC, just before the pole shift and final deluge of the Atlantean Islands. In earlier periods of Atlantean history, the Ark passage was used to evacuate a group of Jehovian Anunnaki Leviathan human hybrids from planetary Stargate 3, Nohassa Atlantis, which is now the remainder of the Bermuda Islands, when major flooding occurred due to Leviathan and fallen angelic warfare. That's the black hole people. This instance of Ark usage historically emerged as the Noah's Ark biblical story. During the reign of Pharaoh Akhenaten, selective secret Stargate ascensions via the Ark passage to Density 2 Tara were carried out by the Keepers of the Blue Flame Magi Grey Line groups between 1363 and 1362 BC. Use of the Ark of the Covenant passage ceased when the Pharaoh misused the rod and staff gate tools, inadvertently opening the D2 Phantom Matrix underworld black hole into the Giza Ark passage and Earth. In the Christ period, 12 BC to 27 AD, Jeshua and his Asen, Iani, Melchizedek Cloister Magi Grail Line Blue Flame Keepers were entrusted with the guardianship over the Ark box and Stargate tools, and were permitted limited usage of the Ark passage in Egypt for open contact with the inner Eka Earth Iani. If the Christ period mission had been successful, many Leviathan Illuminati groups would have been evacuated from Earth via the Ark passage to enter redemption contract re-evolutionary options in other star systems. The Iani Guardian races had offered this option in evolution at this time in an attempt to prevent the competing fallen angelics' intended final conflict drama during the 2000-2017 SAC Stargate opening cycle. This was the core purpose of the Christ mission. Unfortunately, due to Anunnaki defection from Emerald Covenant agreements, again, the mission failed as certain groups of earthly Ascend Leviathans attempted to capture the Ark box and tools to raid the Ark passage and inner Eka Earth. Jeshua and a number of his contemporaries used the Ark passage to physically ascend the Amenti Stargates to Tara following the failure of the Christ period mission. Knowledge of the Ark passage and the Ark box Stargate tools was intentionally hidden by various competing factions of the fallen angelic directed Leviathan Illuminati of Earth, in order to allow them to continue their Ark passage dominion quest secretly, unbeknownst to the masses. Certain groups of Magi Grey Line descent indigo races of various regions of Earth were entrusted by the Iani to carry pieces of the Ark knowledge, in order to preserve this wisdom for the time when it would likely be needed during the 2017 SAC. During the late 500s AD, King Arthur and his Celtic Druidic Magi Grey Line held the secrets of the Ark passage and guardianship of the Ark box. The Cathars of Montségur, France, held the Ark knowledge, as did certain Celtic, Native American, Greek, Indian, Chinese, and Hawaiian Grey Lines. The history of the Ark of the Covenant portal passage and the halls of Amenti Stargate system through which the Ark portal interfaces with Earth are core to the identity and heritage of Earth's angelic human lineage. The Ark of the Covenant passage is also a key element behind and within the progressive fallen angelic and Leviathan Illuminati Templar quest for control of Earth's scalar shield and stargates, which is the hidden core motivation behind every human war that has been fought since Seeding 3 began in 798,000 BC. As the Atlantean conspiracy Leviathan dominion agenda progressed on Earth, the secrets of the Ark became closely guarded by the Magi Grey Line indigo races of Earth. If direct operational knowledge and mechanics of the Ark of the Covenant passage fell into Leviathan Illuminati hands, the inner Earth stargates could be compromised from Earth's side of the portal, potentially preventing Iani assistance during the Fallen Angelic Schedule 2000-2017 SAC final conflict drama. The Emerald Covenant races were not planning to present security release date on the Ark of the Covenant passage until the natural end of the contemporary SAC between 2012 and 2017. Due to continually escalating political events of the Illuminati One World Order final conflict drama in the present earthly and interdimensional arena, some of the more sensitive secrets of the Ark must be revealed at this time in 2002. Move on now to the Ark of the Covenant, the Golden Fleece wave field, and the Cloak of Invisibility. The Ark of the Covenant is more than simply a portal passage that interfaces with the halls of Amenti stargates. It is this, but it is also much more. The Ark of the Covenant is an extremely specialized, universal galactic planetary shields program that, when fully activated, allows for full, rapid, expedited activation of the universal Christ flame body. Through full, rapid activation of the Christ, portions of the shields that can hold the Ark codes are able to temporarily enter a period of hyperdimensional suspension within the universal flame body to prevent imminent shield destruction or black hole fall. This specialized shield program allows portions of a shield holding activated shield of the Ark of the Covenant codes to directly enter the 13th pillar Eternal Amorea flame. When the Ark of the Covenant shield program is activated, portions of the shield that can enter the 13th pillar are temporarily frequency sealed into the Eternal Amorea central flame. The sealed shield portion is energetically held separate from, while remaining connected to, damaged shield portions. Sealing within the 13th pillar creates an impermeable force field called a transharmonic hyperdimensional radial body capsule around the sealed shield portions. The force field buffer created by full activation of the Ark of the Covenant passage and shield program is known as the Golden Fleece. The Golden Fleece is a D14 pale yellow gold, D12 pale silver, and D8 gold monadic primal light spherical standing scalar wave field sheath that rapidly forms around and permeates the universal Vecca flame body upon entry of the 12 commandment codes of the Ark into the sealed shield. The Golden Fleece wave field combines the D8 core monadic current, electrons, density 3 electrons, with the D14, D12 antimatter current, trions, rayons, density 5 electrons, and density 4 neutrons, known as the Golden Silver 1 frequency. Thanks, sir. Activation of the Golden Fleece wave field around and within the flame body allows the matter forms wearing the Golden Fleece to literally demanifest, yes, and disappear from the larger hologram, of which they are usually a part, via entering a state of hyperdimensional suspension within the Golden Fleece wave field itself. Matter forms entering the Golden Fleece hyperdimensional state are able to retain the manifest integrity of their atomic structure and physicality. Each atom internally generates its own Golden Fleece transharmonic hyperdimensional radial body capsule within the larger Golden Fleece capsule surrounding the sealed shield, flame body, and entirety of the matter form. Once ensconced within the Golden Fleece capsule within the 13th pillar, matter forms enter the Ark of the Covenant, or the Ark Zone, known otherwise as a divine blueprint sealed hologram within a hologram. And this exists as a frequency modulation area within the void, the magnetic repulsion zone, which exists between the universal Vecca and ecosystems. While residing within the Ark Zone, matter forms seem to disappear from the manifest territories of their original hologram, as they enter the frequency shelter of the Ark of the Covenant through wearing the Golden Fleece. And for this reason, the Golden Fleece has also been known as the Cloak of Invisibility. The Ark Zone half-step, time shift, and the bridge zone. Like the Golden Fleece capsule, the Ark Zone is also a spherical standing scalar wave transharmonic radial body that exists within the 13th pillar Eternal Amorea flame. The Ark Zone was created by Emerald Covenant races to serve as a step-down union point, or halfway house in frequency, between the Eka universe as array point and the Veka as array point. The Ark Zone exists as a common universal shield coordinate, higher in frequency than the Veka system, but lower in frequency than the natural Eka system, through which the as array points of both systems are linked within the co-joined 13th pillar Amareya center flames. The Ark Zone forms a simulated as array point at a half step in frequency between the Eka and Veka systems. And we're looking at graphs that will explain this a lot more easily than listening to me during the weekend. The Ark of the Covenant passage also extends the Ark Zone in the same manner between the Eka Shah, and the Eka Shah A, Eka Shah Ea universal shields. The Ark of the Covenant was created to enable the Universal Templars shield and stargate system of the Eka, Akasha A, Akasha Ea universes to support whole shield integrity 4 and run the stargate frequencies of the black hole damage universal shield in our Veka system. The Ark of the Covenant was also created to provide a rapid response Templar emergency override system in the event that the Veka black hole networks pose direct threat to the shield integrity of the Eka universe and those above it. In complete Akasha Ea level activation, the Ark of the Covenant passage holds the power to draw any portion of the Veka Eka Akasha A shields with activated Shield of the Ark codes into the transharmonic hyperdimensional state of the Ark Zone to prevent shield destruction and black hole fall. From the Ark Zone, a shield can be mathematically geometrically recalibrated to create a frequency alignment with naturally fixed past, probable, present, future time cycle location coordinates with which various levels of the shield are in greatest frequency co-resonance. In other words, literal time shifts via the Amenti Stargate system can be accomplished from the Ark Zone, such as the Earth shield passage into the Bridge Zone evolutionary cycle. The Ark Zone is the entry point portal passage to the Bridge Zone time continuum evolutionary cycle. It serves as a force field sealed safe zone region within the hologram of which Earth is a part. Through the Ark Zone, within the Ark of the Covenant passage, portions of the Earth body able to activate the Shield of the Ark codes can retain atomic integrity via the Golden Fleece capsule, while shifting out of the present time continuum and into that of the Bridge Zone. Shield of the Ark of the Covenant codes and Earth races. Activation of the specialized mathematical geometrical shield program of the Ark of the Covenant, which is known as the Shield of the Ark Scalar Shield Program, is required for a universe, galaxy, star, planet, or person to gain entry into the Ark of the Covenant Ark Zone. The Shield of the Ark program exists as a set of specialized Keylon codes that are calibrated precisely to the Ark Zone and passage. The specialized Keylon codes of the Ark collectively form a shield within a shield that is called the Shield of the Ark. The Shield of the Ark, which contains a D5 security seal code sequence, is added into the organic shield scalar wave structure. The Earth shield received its Shield of the Ark coding when the Ark of the Covenant passage from the Eka universe was extended to Earth 848,000 years ago. Originally, the Palladia Urtite Cloister and Urtite Cloister races who orchestrated seeding 3, rounds 1 and 2 of the Oraphim angelic human on Earth were all born with the Shield of the Ark active in their shield and DNA template, allowing them open passage through and assigned Earth guardianship of Earth's Ark of the Covenant passage. Following the 75,000 BC Inner Earth Rebellion, an attempted Anunnaki invasion of Inner Eka Earth via Earth's Ark passage, all angelic human seeding 3, rounds 3, cloister, and 4 root races were not born with an active D5 seal released, Shield of the Ark and their templates. Open Ark of the Covenant passage access to all Earth races pose a progressively escalating threat of potential destruction to the Iani nations and the Inner Eka universe. After 75,000 BC, only remnants of round 2 Ur-type cloister races, the Anu-Melchizedek, Anunnaki-Melchizedek cloister hybrids, these races seeded in 68,000 BC, round 3 cloister race 5 Melchizedek cloister seeded in 33,000 BC, and round 4 root races number 6 Muvarians and number 7 Unajiti of the Taran time cycles carried the active shield of the Ark within their DNA template. All of these races had a minimum DNA strand template 5 active at birth, which allowed them to release the D5 Ark security seal code sequence to initiate shield of the Ark activation, which would permit these races a limited D5 level access to the Ark passage to density 2 Tara. Excuse me. The Iani Indigo Ancient Mission, Ark Autopilot, Double Akasha Ea 13th Pillar Activation, Host of the Ark, and Ancient Plan B Level 3 and Level 6 Ark of the Covenant evacuation agendas. In 25,500 BC, in preparation for the scheduled 22,326 BC SAC, the Iani Indigo Melchizedek Cloister Magi Grail line, Indigo Types 1 and 2, carrying the full spectrum Akasha through Akasha Ea levels Shield of the Ark codes, was seeded on Earth. The Iani Indigo Grail line is characterized by a minimum DNA template strand 6 activated at birth, which creates the potential for rapid release of the D5 Ark seal to initiate expedited activation of the Shield of the Ark codes. The Iani Indigos were commissioned by the Ianas to orchestrate a full universal Vecca level opening of the Ark passage during the 22,326 BC SAC, allowing Earth to pass temporarily into the Ark zone to protect Earth's atomic structure when the D12 Universal Divine Blueprint and Cosmic Clock, the 12 Rushe pillars, were reset in Earth's shields. The Iani Indigos were also commissioned to assist Earth through a complete Akasha Ea level opening of the Ark passage in the cataclysmic event that the inner Eka Universal Shield became compromised by the Vecca black hole network during the SAC. If black hole races attempted to use their beast machine for infiltration of the inner Earth, of the Earth inner Earth Ark zone during the SAC, the Ark of the Covenant passage would automatically open completely to the Akasha Ea level. Complete opening of the Ark of the Covenant passage would rapidly anchor the Akasha Ea 13th pillar Amareya flames from both the Eka universe and the parallel Eka universe, creating a double Akasha Ea flame body activation. Through the double Akasha Ea 13th pillar activation, structural integrity can be retained within the Ark passage and the many universal shields to which it is connected. This Ark opening autopilot emergency override mechanism, a part of the original Ark passage design, would prevent the Eka universe from black hole fall, while preserving within the Ark zone whatever portions of the universal Vecca shield that could activate the shield of the Ark codes. Anchoring of the double Akasha Ea 13th pillar via the Ark of the Covenant passage half steps would also rapidly transmute, shatter and return to natural space dust particle units any portions of the Eka and Vecca universal shields that had less than 31% of their D12 divine blueprint remaining. In the event of the Ark autopilot system triggering into activation, shield portions with 31% or higher divine blueprint remaining could be drawn into the protection field of the Ark zone via Iani Indigo host matrix. Shield portions and the matter forms built upon them drawn into the Ark zone would be spared the solar red pulse transmutation by fire, otherwise known as hydrogen burning, that would occur during this period of double 13th pillar activation. The Ark of the Covenant passage has the power to rapidly heal and restore shields possessing 33% or more divine blueprint structural integrity, and the power to protect from red pulse and black hole fall shields with 31% divine blueprint remaining. But the Ark of the Covenant passage also holds the power to tangibly destroy through solar red pulse, shield fragmentation, and atomic transmutation, the matter forms built upon shields possessing less than 31% divine blueprint. Shields with less than 31% divine blueprint coding cannot anchor the frequencies through which host matrix into the arc zone protection field is accomplished. Due to the inherently destructive powers of the Ark of the Covenant passage, complete activation of the arc triggers only in the most dire of circumstance. In a circumstance such as imminent black hole fall of an Eka universe, complete Veka and Eka shield fragmentation would progressively occur without Ark of the Covenant activation as a result of such a fall. Pending fall of an Eka-Veka system is the only circumstance in which the Ark autopilot system triggers the double Akasha Ea flame activation through complete opening of the Ark of the Covenant passage. As part of the Iani Indigo's 22,326 BC mission, they were commissioned to collectively serve as host matrix into the Ark of the Covenant arc zone in the event that the Ark autopilot system was triggered into activation in response to Beast Machine initiated pending fall of the Eka Universal Shield. The Iani Indigo Collective, both within the Eka and Veka universes, are thus collectively known as the host of the Ark of the Covenant. If the Ark autopilot system triggered during the 22,326 BC SAC, the Iani Indigo races of Earth could rapidly activate their Arc Seal Release and Shield of the Arc codes to form a collective Golden Fleece, transharmonic, hyperdimensional radial body capsule wave field within Earth's planetary shields. The collective Golden Fleece wave field would serve as a temporary host matrix frequency platform. Through this wave field platform, portion of Earth's shields and populations with 31% or more divine blueprint remaining could override the D5 arc seal, enabling the dormant shield of the arc codes to be fired into rapid activation for passage into arc zone safety. Portions of the planetary shield suspended within the arc zone hyperdimensional field would be held safely within a stable half-step frequency zone and time pulsation rhythm as the planetary shields rapidly climbed in frequency to double Akasha Ea flame body activation. As long as the Iani Indigos of Earth activated the collective Golden Fleece host matrix frequency platform, at least 33% of Earth's shield could ride through the double Akasha Ea activation within the safety of the Ark of the Covenant. Within the Arc Zone, all would be protected from the solar red pulse that would emerge from the damaged 31% or less divine blueprint shield portions, and the rapid rise in planetary shield frequency that would result from the double Akasha Ea activation. Activation of a critical mass of Iani Indigo Shield of the Arc codes would also enable the 12-strand angelic human populations of Earth to transmute the D5 arc seal within their shields. Once freed from the D5 limitations of the arc seal codes, the human collective could activate a stepped-down collective Golden Fleece Wayfield host matrix platform through which greater portions of the animal, plant, and mineral kingdoms of Earth could gain arc passage protection. Complete opening of the Ark of the Covenant passage during the 22,326 BC SAC was not the intention nor desired agenda of the Emerald Covenant races. During the 22,326 BC SAC, the Emerald Covenant Plan A agenda originally involved anchoring the divine blueprint with assistance of the Anunnaki races. This failed upon the Anunnaki's Emerald Covenant defection. Emerald Covenant Plan B agenda involved anchoring the divine blueprint while using the natural Hitharo process to prevent the black hole race's beast machine from causing Veka Universe Black Hole 4. The original Plan B agenda represented a Level 3 Ark of the Covenant evacuation. If Plan B proceeded well during the SAC, reset of Earth's divine blueprint and cosmic clock could be accomplished with only a full universal Vecca level Ark of the Covenant opening, which is accomplished via activation of the Akasha level flame body in the cosmic shield. A level 3 flame body activation. Note level 1 equals universal Vecca flame activation, opens the arc passage to D 5.5. Level 2 equals Eka flame activation, opening the arc passage to D 8.5. Level 3, the Akasha flame activation, opens the arc passage to D 11.5 inner Eka Earth. So, if Plan B level 3 went well, within a planetary golden fleece wave field, Earth's 31% plus divine blueprint shields would undergo temporary passage into the lower arc zone between the Vecca and Eka universes at D 11.5. Within the lower arc zone, Earth and its populations would ride out the frequency rise that would progress in the planetary shields through anchoring of the 12 Ruche pillars, divine blueprint reset, and the 3-day particle conversion period. During the 3-day period, portions of Earth's shields compromised by irreversible Metatronic black hole coding would experience solar red pulse transmutation to space dust units. Once the 3-day particle conversion period ended, a healed Earth would re-emerge from the Ark of the Covenant into its natural time continuum, with the planetary divine blueprint and cosmic clock reset. While within the arc zone, those wearing the shield of the ark would remain connected to the original 3D hologram of Earth, while retaining a partial manifestation of a healed version of the old hologram within the arc zone 13th pillar. From the arc zone, wearers of the golden fleece frequency are able to pass between the inner ecosystems and the Vecca systems via the Amenti Stargate passages, while temporarily maintaining a more healed version of the mass hologram as their primary resident coordinate within the arc zone. Only in the worst-case scenario event of a black hole race invasion of the Earth inner Eka Earth Ark of the Covenant passage during the SAC would the Ark autopilot system trigger complete Ark activation. Complete Ark of the Covenant activation represents a level 6 Ark of the Covenant activation. The Anunnaki black hole races invaded Earth as the 22,326 BC SAC commenced in the event called the Iani Massacre. Fortunately, the Iani races of the Eka universe were able to forcibly close Earth's stargates before their opening cycle phase-locked in Earth's planetary shields. It was this that prevented Anunnaki activation of the Beast Machine, leaving the entire drama a stalemate until the 2000-2017 SAC arrived. The Ark of the Covenant passage remained closed during the 22,326 BC SAC, and resultantly, the 22,326 BC Plan B Level 3 planetary evacuation order was cancelled. The last time Level 6 Ark of the Covenant evacuation was issued occurred during the 208,216 BC Fall of Brennaway drama, when Draconian Wesadrak races invaded Earth and inner Eka Earth via Earth's Ark of the Covenant. Just prior to the Ark autopilot triggering complete Ark of the Covenant opening, the Iani Eka races were able to force the Eka stargates closed. Partial solar red pulse and pole shift resulted on Earth, in our Vecca universe and in Eka Universal Stargate 1. Partial destruction of Eka Universal Stargate 1 Brennaway caused our Vecca universe stargates to fall to a 10-code pulse, rather than the natural 12-code pulse divine blueprint, upon which the Ark of the Covenant normally functions. Level 6 evacuation and complete Ark of the Covenant passage Akasha air opening was aborted with closing of the Eka stargates during the 208,216 BC Brennaway drama. The Eka Universal Stargate 1 template was sufficiently restored following the Brennaway fall, returning the potential of resetting the natural 12-code pulse within the stargates of our universal Vecca system. In several periods of Atlantean history, following the 22,326 BC Iani massacre, and during the 9558 BC final fall of Atlantis, the Ark of the Covenant passage was partially opened to the parallel D5 level via the D2 parallel Earth Ark connection and Eka Universe Iani host matrix. Eka Iani races use plasma ship collective Akasha Merkaba vehicles as a host matrix frequency platform to allow limited, localized personal evacuation of members of Iani Indigo Grail Line, Melchizedek Cloister, and some Anu Melchizedek groups who could get to the Ark interface portal regions in time. From the D2.5 Ark passage, evacuees born with an active Shield of the Ark received Shield of the Ark code activation assistance to allow them passage to parallel Earth via Earth's D2.5 Ark passage for plasma ship transfer to the inner Eka Earth D11.5 Ark of the Covenant passage. The late Atlantean period Ark of the Covenant personal evacuations, and those that briefly took place in Akhenaten's Egypt and during the later Christ period, were necessarily limited. A full D5.5 level Ark opening on a planetary shield level could not be orchestrated on Earth while Earth shields and the universal Vecca stargates were operating on a 10-code pulse. Only the D2.5 Ark of the Covenant passage could be partly opened on Earth under a 10-code pulse, and on each occasion in which this was done, direct threat of Earth and inner Eka Earth invasion by black hole races via the D2.5 Ark passage was posed. Near Anunnaki race invasion of the Ark of the Covenant almost occurred during the failed Iani Christ period mission of 12 BC 27 AD. And since this time, Eka Iani races have rarely chanced opening of the D2.5 Earth parallel Earth Ark of the Covenant interface. The Ark of the Covenant, Contemporary Drama, and the March 23rd, 2002 Plan B Level 3 Agenda.
It gets good now. We're back up to the present time. We're not stuck back in Atlantis.
Not too much to go now. Downhill from here. The Iani races are providing us with information pertaining to the secrets of the Ark of the Covenant at this time, the time being December 2002, due to events that have transpired on and following November 24th, 2002. When our contemporary SAC began on January 1st, 2000, restoring Earth's 12-code pulse for the first time since 208,216 BC, the Emerald Covenant races were following the original Emerald Covenant Plan A agenda. The Plan A coevolution agenda involved resetting a sufficient degree of the Earth Shield divine blueprint for Earth to enter Bridge Zone passage and Emerald Covenant cooperation agreements with Anunnaki races that would result in disarming the beast to peacefully end the Wesadrak black hole threat, whilst at the same time effectively sealing Earth's Metatronic wormhole networks to prevent the competing black hole forces from waging their Templar conquest final conflict drama on Earth. Plan A also included postponing final reset of the cosmic clock on Earth until 4230 AD. This would allow earthly Leviathan races ample time to prepare for Emerald Covenant entry and to receive the extensive Base 12 DNA template bioregenesis of their race lines that would be needed for them to biologically sustain on Earth during the scheduled 4230 AD Akasha Level 3 planetary flame body activation. Plan A was possible only due to the Anunnaki's promised cooperation and willingness to share Emerald Covenant co-evolution objectives, as they had reluctantly stated in the 1992 Pleiadian-Syrian agreements. When the Anunnaki races defected, from the Pleiadian-Sirian agreements to join the Weserdak Black Hole Races UIR War Edict on September 12, 2000, Emerald Covenant races were placed on the Plan A contingency / Plan B standby agenda. The Plan A contingency agenda involved completion of the cosmic clock reset and Christos realignment mission on Earth by the original Atlantean schedule date of December 21, 2012, while expediting planetary Maharic shield activation to prevent activation of the UIR's beastly Metatronic implant network. At the time of Voyager's Volume 2 Second Edition printing, the Emerald Covenant agenda remained on Plan A contingency with Plan B standby, as Guardian races focused upon rapidly building critical mass D12 planetary Maharic shield activation to prevent UIR beast machine activation on Earth. Around this time, the IANI informed us that due to the necessary expedition of planetary shield and Stargate activation, that the 3-day particle conversion period